from WBBZ TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, who will have the luck of the bowlers here today in Fredonia? Hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ from Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. My name is Paul Peck with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, along with Janelle Sabin. It's our third week here down in Fredonia. We've had some terrific bowling, some unpredictable bowling in our first 2 weeks, but the one thing that we know we can predict is Tyler Molina is back looking to go for 4 in a row today.
Yeah, he certainly can get on a streak, that boy, and he's got some new faces to contend with this week. We've got one that was there last month, but most of it we're going to see new faces.
Yeah, it's Tim Jensen, it's Mike Kemp, and it's Brad Bixby that will challenge Tyler Molina, who will try to match his record-setting 6 in a row streak from earlier this year. And if he does, we know the crowd will be fired up. They're even more fired up because you're giving out some prizes today.
Definitely. We are going to raffle off 3 games of bowling, a pitcher of pop, and a pizza here at Lucky Lanes. So everybody in the crowd has a ticket. We're going to draw it at the end of the show.
We've got a Fredonia bowler on our schedule today, so that'll get the crowd fired up. And right now, Tyler Molina is about the hottest guy in Western New York. So let's see if he can keep it going. It is time to get rolling. First match of the day, there's Tyler Molina on the right, and the man who will try to end Tyler's winning streak is veteran bowler Tim Jensen from Elma. A long resume that we'll talk a little bit more about. You know Tim, you've bowled with Tim before, but he is making his Beat the Champ debut, so quite a challenge for Tim, even though he's been around this sport a long time. Guess what, Jim? Welcome to the show, and you're facing Tyler Molina, who, when he's on a roll, he is almost unstoppable, and that's the way to start it off for Tim Jensen.
Well, even though this is his first time on this show, it's definitely not his first time on TV or bowling competitively in this way, because he's been around a long time, and the Jensens are bowling royalty. We all know them.
Yeah, and it's not even Tim's first time on Beat the Champ, because he goes back to the original incarnation of the show, where he bowled 9 consecutive weeks on the old Beat the Champ show. So should be a good match here. And we've talked about Tyler Molina now with an overall record of 9-1 on Beat the Champ, and working on a 3-match winning streak and off to a good start. Well, this is not an impromptu meeting of the Chautauqua County Bowlers Hall of Fame, but we're pretty close here because we've got Paul Nosek, the owner here of Lucky Lanes, and we've got Todd Langworthy, who runs the pro shop here. Guys, thanks for joining us. It's always a good trip down here to Fredonia, and it's good to have you guys a part of it too.
Oh, thanks for having us. It'll be a lot of fun.
Is there such a thing as the Chautauqua County Bowling Hall of Fame, and are both of you guys in it yet?
No, we have a Lakeshore one down here, but not Chautauqua County.
All right, well, we'll work on that, though. So it's good to have both of you guys here to give us a little bit of insight on what's going on in this match. And Todd, we want to talk to you a lot about the youth bowling that goes on in this area, because that'll be a preview for our next week's show as well, too. And hopefully you were with us in week number 1 a couple weeks ago when Paul was here to fill us in on a lot of things that are going on here at Lucky Lanes, and his trip to Australia and all that other fun stuff as well too. So as we hit week 3 now, we've seen some interesting things here in your bowling center. What's jumped out at you about the first 2 weeks of competition?
Well, it seems like a very large swing. It's either the scores are very low or extremely high, and it seems once the guys get settled down, the scores go right up.
Yeah, a little bit in that first show, the guys were struggling, and in that second show, we had some really high-level guys, and they seemed to find themselves a little soon.
Absolutely, and then, stuff happens. Like bowling, it's completely unpredictable, and you kind of just got to go with the flow.
Right. Todd, how proud of you were you of the way Ben Montague bowled here? I know you work together, and he works for you in the pro shop. That had to feel pretty good for you, too.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was nice to see Ben do so well. I mean, he was one of my former high school bowlers when I coached high school with Ben, and works in the shop, and he's just a great kid, so nice to see him do well. Yeah,
he really seemed to take the home lane advantage to work on his part and won a couple of matches. So here we're going to look at Tim Jensen. He has struck in the first 2 frames. This is number 3 for Tim. And the streaks run will come to an end of strikes. 54 years old, he has been bowling for 46 years, has Tim Jensen from Elma, New York. Good healthy average of 225, has his wife Lynn and his daughter Lauren here cheering him on. And as you mentioned, Sue, a long record of outstanding bowling here in Western New York, and an outstanding family as well, too.
Yes, his mom Jackie went into the Buffalo Bowling Hall of Fame same year as me. We went in same ticket. So whole family well recognized for their bowling ability.
Yeah, so, and probably a little bit of a surprise that it's taken Tim this long to show up on Beat the Champ, at least this version of Beat the Champ. So it's good to have him on. So now back to Tyler Molina. And Todd, give me a little sense on, give me the scouting report here on what you've seen, because we've all been incredibly impressed with Tyler from the 6-in-a-row streak that he had earlier this year to 3 and maybe even more so far here today.
Just from what I've seen of him, he just seems like, a lot of the typical younger guys. He's real firm with the ball, and being a left-hander, I mean, he likes to probably play a little bit further left out on the lane because their side doesn't break down as much. And a lot of these kids, they throw strikes like crazy because they just are so strong.
And they really believe in themselves. Like every time there's just something about him that every time he throws the ball, you think like he knows he's going to strike, or that he thinks he's going to strike, because they have thrown so many strikes in their lives.
Oh yeah.
That it's not a big deal. It's not as big a deal.
Well, that's 3 of the first 4 have been strikes for Tyler Molina. And as we mentioned, he is shooting for a 4th win in a row as he has the chance, should he sweep this show, of matching the Beat the Champ record that he holds with Mike Zarcone, which is 6 consecutive wins. It's going to be up to Tim Jensen to try to prevent that from happening. Thought he was going to get that pin to roll over and knock it down, but he can't do it.
So this is lucky lanes, but that was lucky for somebody, just not for Tim.
Yeah, not for Tim. Right?
Yes. So he'll have to he'll grab this spare to follow up that open frame number 3 with a nice, easy spare, and he gets it. Paul, what have you noticed about the level of bowling? We were here a year ago when we made our first trip down here to Fredonia. We had great bowling back then when we saw wins by Dan Maladona and Matt Zazowski and Carl Kinnan. In the year since the show has been here, what have you sort of noticed about the show, about bowling, about the way guys are sort of reacting to being a part of this?
Well, it's been a tremendous response. Like as I said, our local newspaper, The Observer, has covered it well. The community has come out and supported it, and more people are watching the show, and it's becoming a weekly thing for a lot of people to hone in and watch the show, tune in and watch the show.
You had good turnout at the qualifiers?
We had really good turnout for the qualifier for both the adult and the junior version of it, and we have quite a crowd here today. I'm very pleased to see the amount of people we have today.
Crowd's been outstanding here. It certainly has helped that there's been some Fredonia guys that have been bowling,
yes,
and it's been an easy trip
helps
for some of the fans too, but we've had terrific crowds here as well. And we should mention that at your qualifier, we debuted another element of the show, which was the top qualifier won a television from Dirt Cheap TV, and that was George Shableski, who won the qualifier. Did not make the show, but George still walked home with the TV as well too.
I think George will be tuning in to Beat the Champ on his new TV.
He better be on his brand new Dirt Cheap TV.
And another thing that started last month at your qualifier was they were going to guarantee a woman into the top 24. Or even if she doesn't get in, they're going to add that 25th spot, so that she has an opportunity. So we have an opportunity to try to generate a few women, maybe see some women bowl on TV. So that was the first month for that. So going forward, today there's qualifiers at Manor 2 for next month's show. Still have time for the 5, 7, and 9 squad. But remember, ladies, that there's a guaranteed spot.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ TV.
Hi, I'm here with Tim Jensen, bowling your first time on Beat the Champ today. We all know you in Western New York, but it's the first time that we're going to get to see you on TV. What made you come out and qualify today?
Well, my kids are grown up now. They're in college. Found myself that I have a lot more time in my hands. So found out that Beat the Champ is back, and I was just really eager to get back out here and get started up again and try and get back on.
Well, I've known you for a long time, and I know what a tough contender that you're going to be out there today. So I wish you all the luck, but I don't think you're going to need it.
Thank you, Sue.
That kind of opens the door now for Tim. He can get right back in this match with a double. So we're just kind of going back and forth here. Whoever strings a couple together. going to pull this out.
18 career 300 games for Tim Jensen, 5 800 series with a high of 837 in his outstanding bowling career. That one seemed to come off his hand funny, and it almost wound up in a 7-10 split, didn't it?
Looks like the lane 8 for both lanes is probably a little bit tighter inside, so they have to really get it to the break point at the right spot in order to get the ball to carry. And it's the same thing, I think, for Tim.
Yeah, the ball goes definitely longer on lane 8.
Yeah.
And even when it snaps up, it leaves that 10 pin because it comes in behind the head pin.
Yep, I know this pair very well. I bowl league here every Tuesday night, so I'm real familiar with it.
You might have noticed, at least I did, and maybe I just noticed it, a very dramatic left side lineup on that last spare ball for Tim Jensen. Has he been doing that through the entire match, or?
Oh, to make the 10 pin?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
pretty standard.
That's routine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to knee the ball return out.
Yeah, well that's probably what makes it stand out to you is the ball return goes out, and he was kind of up against it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, that wasn't the results that Tim was looking for here in the 9th frame, as he's got the sleeper pin here to pull off the spare. And like you said, Tim needs to put some strikes on the board here to get himself a victory.
Yeah, and he's getting late in the game now.
This is the 9th frame. So to give you an idea of, Tim's been solid, but a little bit all over the place. Open in the 3rd, spare in the 4th, strike in the 5th, spare in the 6th, strike in the 7th, spare in the 8th and the 9th. So he just hasn't seemed to find a groove here.
Well, Tyler just needs to fill the next 2 frames, spares, strikes, whatever, and he'll win again.
Looking for a 4th consecutive victory is Tyler Molina. There's a strike. You saw it, you heard it, you saw the reaction from Tyler, he knew it. So this would be the 10th victory for Tyler Molina. All have come in 2017 because he did not make the show at all in 2016. He's really only made 2 different bowling center shows, Kearns Avenue and here, but he's already hit double digits in wins. If he is able to get this spare. And we only have 3 other bowlers that have achieved double digits in wins here on Beat the Champ. Mike Zarcone with 12, Matt Zazowski with 11, Tony Dolan with 10. Gives you a little example of how good Tyler has been in the spurts that he's been good.
Actually, with the good count that he got and being that he struck, he's a winner.
And that certainly clinches it right there. So it will be a 4th consecutive victory for Tyler Molina and a 10th overall. And that's the most amazing thing to me, Sue. He did not make the show at all in 2016. He's really only qualified twice, but here he is right at the top of the list of most wins. With a chance on this show to match his record of consecutive wins. It's a 216 final score for Tyler Molina. It's going to be enough to beat Tim Jensen. Tim will finish things out here in the 10th frame. Next up for Tyler, it will be Michael Kemp. Todd, is there a challenge, and I think we've seen this in the first couple of weeks of, some of the Buffalo guys don't get down here as much. They're not as familiar with the house here. Does that present a challenge to some of those guys in taking a little while to figure out the characteristics of the lanes
Definitely.
here?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with just being wood, where a lot of the guys don't bowl on wood, and myself growing up on wood, it's not really a big deal. It's more the other way for me when I go to synthetics because I haven't bowled on them as much. But wood's a lot different, and for a lot of the guys when they come down, that's usually the comments I hear is that, the wood is just so much different for them, and it changes a lot differently as well.
Well, and I think, Sue, one of the common themes is that Tyler Molina's success has come on wood lanes, Kearns Avenue Bowling Center and here.
It's true. But
Such a thing as a wood lane bowler?
well, he's so good through the ball, so the heads don't really play a part, and I think that part of wood lanes is managing the front of the lane.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you have for someone like me who throws the ball, sets it a little short, gets it in the roll a little early, the front of the lane is always a challenge for me. But for someone that gets it so clean through the fronts, they're going to have success on wood lanes.
Yeah, and I think that's why Brad Bixby made the show last year here and again this year, is because Brad bowls on wood all the time. He's used to the lanes, hooking a little bit early at times, and he's real strong through the ball. Knowing his game as well as I do, he's going to be tough to beat.
Well, Brad's coming up. He's not next match, but the match after that. So our final score is 216 to 189 for Tyler Molina. He'll advance on. He'll take on Michael Kemp. These two guys will stick around to help us with that match. We will talk to Tim in a moment and get you ready for the next match when Beat the Champ returns to Fredonia right after this. Well, back on the show, Beat the Champ for the first time since 1987. I don't know if Tyler Molina was even born in 1987, Tim, but he's a pretty tough guy, and you kind of ran into a red-hot guy right now, didn't you?
He is, Tyler. He's on a hot streak. He was on a while back ago. I think he had 5 weeks in a row, and he's a tough young bowler. He's an upcoming, and he's got a lot to look forward to. So
right. Well, what was it like to be back on this show for the first time in a long time?
Felt great. When I first heard Beat the Champ was coming back, I said I got to get back out here, and it's just great to be back. And I'm glad you guys have got the show back here again.
Well, it's been a lot of fun for us as well too. Paul, make them feel a little better.
Well, congratulations. Welcome back to the show, I guess we could say, and a little cash prize from Lucky Lanes.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Tim Jensen with a good performance here in his Beat the Champ re-debut, I guess we could say. But it's Tyler Molina who stays hot, and he'll be bowling for a 5th consecutive win. We'll have that match against Michael Kemp when we return to Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. You're watching Beat the Champ.
I'm here with Michael Kemp, one of our contenders today on the show. We saw him last month. This month, you've had a couple high scores shot at you. What are you looking for this month?
Well, just looking to bowl how I've been bowling. I haven't been bowling bad, and I know that this week has been, if you could carry, that was how you scored. If not, then you're looking at low 200s. But
so what you're really hoping is that someone doesn't come out and shoot 240 against you as usual, right?
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I talked to your contenders, and they said they hope they shoot 240 against you. So, anyways, we hope you bowl great today, and we hope you have better luck than last month.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the next challenger who's going to try to derail the Tyler Molina train is that gentleman right there, Mike Kemp, 31 years old from Cheektowaga, New York, making his 3rd appearance here on Beat the Champ. He has yet to win. Last time we saw Mike was last month up at Transit Lanes when he was came up short against Matt Zazowski in his latest match. So we've seen him at Tonawanda, and we've seen him at Transit Lanes, and now we get our first look at Mike Kemp here at Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. And that's a good first impression for Mike Kemp. And here's Tyler Molina working 4 in a row, working an overall record of 10 wins and just 1 loss here on Beat the Champ. And remember, he had a 6-match winning streak a couple of months ago at Kearns Avenue, which is tied for the longest in Beat the Champ along with Mike Zarcone. Got a chance to match that here today. And he is only 2 wins away from tying Zarcone's overall record of 12 wins.
Well, Mike has the Tony Dolan distinction of being someone that they like to shoot big scores at.
Right.
So
a little unlucky, maybe.
People are averaging 240 against him, so it might be good for Tyler, not so good for Mike.
Well, and as I look back, Tyler hasn't put up big scores. He's won with a 213, a 212, a 216. He did have a 258 in his first match, but he's been in that 215 range, and it's gotten him 3 wins in a row. So, and as we welcome Todd and Paul back in, when a guy is winning with 215s, what does that tell you about what he's doing and what his competition is doing?
Well, that tells me he's He's making his spares, and the lanes might be a little tough, but he's doing what he needs to do to eke out the win.
Sure. And Todd, it's all relative to what the lanes are going to allow you to do, and we haven't seen a lot of 250s, 260s so far here.
No, and again, he's got a nice shot, I think, on both lanes. They're a little bit different for him, but I think the other bowlers are seeing a bigger difference between the two, and it's taken them a little bit longer to kind of get lined up, so that all helps Tyler.
In a one-game match, you don't have a lot of time to waste.
He would have made the 7-10 split on that pickup right there. I don't know if it showed, but if that was up there, he would have made it.
And that's a good start for Mike Kemp with strikes in the first 2 frames. So Todd, for all the competitive bowling at a very high level that you've done throughout your career, when you come into a match like this as Mike Kemp, going against a guy who has been incredibly impressive, who is on a roll, who is really powering his way through the pins, how do you as an opponent sort of approach that mentally?
Well, you just got to just start off really quick and just get the ball to the pocket and just hope you can put pressure on him immediately, because if it seems like you're indecisive and struggling, they're going to jump all over you because they just feel like, they've got the advantage. So you have to let them know that you're going to come out and throw strikes and be in the pocket right from the start.
Well, on that shot right there, Mike got it just a little bit right of his target, and it came back and it hit as strong as it could possibly hit, and that's what a bowler likes to see. I've got a little bit of room to the right now, and that loosens up the swing quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he's playing him a little bit further in and looping the ball a little bit more than Timmy was, so he might have a little better reaction, so he could throw some strikes for sure.
And Tyler Molina is, I don't want to say struggling, but that's a couple of frames in a row here where he's not been as pure as we have seen him be, and he'll have to pick up the spare here for back-to-back spares in 2 and 3.
Well, they're all pocket leaves, so for him, he's just getting a little bit of transition. He's still hitting the pocket. He's just, it's just changing up just a little bit.
A little fine-tuning.
Yeah.
25 years old from Cheektowaga, Tyler Molina works in marketing at the Lawley Insurance Group. And as we've talked about, has been very impressive here on the show. Got a good cheering section on hand with parents Jeff and Lori, and his friends Jeff and Kim here also made the trip down from Cheektowaga to Fredonia to cheer Tyler on here at Lucky Lanes. And he will move now to the 4th frame. But right now, he's got to know that Mike Kemp has struck out here in the first 3.
I'm going to ask you this question because this goes back to, I don't want to say old-time bowling, but this goes back to kind of my roots of growing up. And I know things have changed, but then when you look at a wood surface, you kind of are going back a little bit in time. When you are, especially in a one-game match like this, and you've got to make fast decisions, I was told that even though you're hitting the pocket, if you have a 4-pin, for me it would be 4-pin, 10-pin. If you start seeing that, even though you're hitting the pocket, you're leaving 4 pins and 10 pins, then you need to change balls.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ TV.
Well, this match got a little closer now. It's only a 10-pin difference.
Well, the open frames have been critical throughout our run here at Lucky Lanes, as they generally are no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great shot there by Mike. When you watch that 10-pin just kind of fall over to the left like that, that usually tells you that he's got the right ball motion through the pins, and you see that a lot.
It's absolutely right. Just the opposite side of what we're talking about, leaving 4 pins or 10 pins. Or when you see that 10-pin crack out, you've got it just right.
So now back to Tyler Molina, who he's always impressive, but has not pounded the pins like that until now. That's only his 3rd strike of the match so far, and it comes in the 7th frame, but he's made spares, no open frames, doing what he needs to do as he tries for a 5th win in a row.
I think he's switching balls too.
Well, let's see if that winds up being a critical decision here. Eighth frame.
Wow, great adjustment.
Well, whatever it was the right decision.
7 seems to be the one that's giving him more trouble if he makes a mistake, because the ball wants to jump a little early on him, so he must have decided he wanted to do something different to try to avoid that. Being it's getting late in the match, he's down 10 pins. So
Overall 230 average for Mike Kemp. He has been bowling since he was 11 years old.
Well,
And that's a couple of frames here now where Mike seems to have lost the groove a bit.
well, it's always on this lane. The lane 8's giving him a few fits. This is makeable if he can slide this one over if he hits it properly. Ooh, close.
Well, he got the good pin action. It just didn't go in the right place, right? Even you were surprised by that, Paul.
Yeah, I thought he might get the kick off the back.
So now that's open frames in 2 of the last 3 for Mike Kemp, and that is usually a recipe for disaster here on Beat the Champ, and we'll see how he bounces back. He's still got 2 frames left here. And he probably needed a strike there, Sue, didn't he?
Yep, he's struck every time on that lane, and this time when he really needs it, that 10 pin, that's when the 10 pin shows up for you.
Just when you least want it, absolutely. Getting back to what we were discussing before, not only is it a challenge for Todd with all the bowling balls out, but when I'm trying to oil the lanes, it seems like an ongoing battle between the ball manufacturers and the oil manufacturers. They're all trying to outdo each other. Well, I'll put an oil out that you can't hook the ball on. Then the ball manufacturers come back and say, well, try it. They'll get a ball that'll hook through that, and that just eats oil up quicker and quicker. So it's an ongoing battle all the time.
Well, give us some inside info on that, Paul. Is there a general competitiveness between those 2 entities that they don't necessarily work together and they're always sort of trying to react to each other?
I don't know. I believe that there's definitely going on because it's a one-upmanship for sure.
But it keeps him in business too.
But that's exactly right. I mean, they're doing it the same business.
Because they're going to come back to you and say, hey, you need to use this oil now.
Yep, exactly. This oil won't do this, and this oil will hold up better than any oil we've ever had. And then the ball manufacturers come out with something that bites like a chainsaw through it, and then it erases the oil completely off the lane, and then you have to get a new oil to combat that, and it just back and forth all the time, and it's difficult.
How often do you change the style and types of oils that, regardless of the pattern, how often do you change the oils?
I try to stay with the same oil and tweak a pattern a little more than the oil. Once I find an oil and I've used the same oil for the last 2 or 3 years now, and it's held up well, but year to year you have to tweak them a little bit, and as well as the weather conditions change too. When it's cold, if the humidity is different, if it's warmer or colder, if you're running heat all the time, all that affects how your pattern plays as well.
It's a highly technical sport, isn't it? It's not just knocking a bunch of pins down.
It's not.
I mean that jokingly.
No, obviously not.
Well, that spare made him a winner.
So it is another win for Tyler Molina, and the incredible streak continues. He's almost matched the 6 game winning streak from earlier in the year in February, with now a 5-match winning streak of his own here in April. And a nice way to finish it out as the Tyler Molina show continues here on Beat the Champ. It's right about where he's been. That's back-to-back 216s on the board for Tyler Molina. So last 4 matches, 213, 212, 216, 216.
Well, I'd like to say that people kind of get all caught up in averages and scores, but at the end of the day, you're competing on the same condition as the person next to you, and your job is to beat them. And sometimes 216 will be a good score, and you can't get all caught up in the numbers.
No question. You just need to beat your opponent.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what the score is.
So Mike Kemp will finish things out here. He is unable to finish off that spare, and after a promising start that began with 3 consecutive strikes, Mike Kemp puts a 183 on the board, so it's a win for Tyler Molina, 216 to 183, and Molina keeps his streak going. We'll talk to Mike Kemp and find out exactly how this match went for him and get you ready for the next match, which is Tyler Molina versus a bowler from right here at Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. His name is Brad Bixby. We'll get you ready for that. It is Beat the Champ at Lucky Lanes in Chautauqua County, and we are back right after this. Well, nothing to be ashamed of when you fall victim to the red-hot Tyler Molina. And Mike, you started off great with strikes in the first 3, and it really looked like, boy, this one might go right down to the end. Take me through kind of what happened in the middle of the match a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the first 5 frames were ideal, and then the second 5, I don't know, I just got a little slow on the first one, and I tried to speed it up, and it just slid down the lane, and I couldn't hit the pocket, so what are you going to do?
Right, Paul's got these lucky lanes biting back a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He sure does.
Well, make up for that by making him feel a little better.
Well, congratulations. You had a nice little run there early. Not as much. I know you'd like to won, but thanks very much for bowling, and congratulations again.
All right, well, Mike, it's good to see you again. And like I said, fallen victim to Tyler is an ever-growing crowd here on Beat the Champ. Yeah. So we know we're going to see more of Mike, and we know we're going to see a chance to match the record. That is our next match. Tyler Molina versus Brad Bixby coming your way on Beat the Champ.
I'm here with Brad Bixby. Last time we saw him was a year ago. What have you been doing last year?
Tried out at Transit, didn't do too well, but you know, that's how bowling goes. Make the cut, don't make it.
So this is your home house. You think you'll have a little home ice advantage here?
Not the home house. I really don't bowl here too much, just in tournaments and stuff. But I'm hoping the lanes are broke down a little bit, and I can get the ball to the pocket, throw some strikes.
Any big games over the last year?
299. You know, nothing. I mean, not 300, but.
All right. Well, I think you'd be happy with the 299 today, right?
Yeah, that would work. I would take one of them.
All right. Well, good luck to you today.
Thanks.
Will Tyler Molina win his 6th consecutive match to tie the all-time record? Well, the guy standing in his way trying to prevent that is that gentleman right there. His name is Brad Bixby from right here in Fredonia, 31 years old, a New York State Corrections Officer. Brad is making his 2nd appearance on Beat the Champ. 1 win and 1 loss, and those came on our last trip to Fredonia 1 year ago when we were here at Lucky Lane. So certainly the home lane advantage falls on Brad's side. Will that be enough?
Well, in our first look at him, you can see how smooth he is and how fundamentally correct he is. He's got a beautiful straight swing, keeps it on line, good pop at the bottom. He's just really fundamentally correct.
Well, when he
and
comes,
we can credit that to his coaching.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, when he comes back around, we're going to ask Paul Nosek, the owner from here at Lucky Lanes, to give us a scouting report on Brad, and then we'll ask Todd Langworthy from the Pro Shop here to give us the equipment update on him.
Well, he was his coach, so he has.
Well, even more then. Okay. Well, hold your thought on that one, Todd. We'll let Tyler bowl his first 2 frames here, and then we'll come back to Brad. So once again, Tyler Molina has won 5 matches in a row. He has now won 11 overall in the year 2017 from here on Beat the Champ. So not only will a win today in this match tie the record for most consecutive matches, it will also tie the overall win total, both of those held by Mike Zarcone. So we got a lot on the line here, and aside from the fact that if Tyler wins this match, he'll come back to Manor Lanes in 2 weeks with a chance to continue the streak there as well, too.
Well, see what happens when you don't make the show, you get passed. So Mike Zarcone isn't on the show, and
you'll hear about that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, he needs to come and show up.
Yes, he does. So Tyler Molina, with a strike in the first frame, gets ready to throw here in the second frame. Trying to keep the amazing run alive, and that's a good way to do it. All right, so now as we go back to Brad, Paul, give me your take and your scouting report on your Fredonia buddy here, Brad Bixby.
Well, Brad grew up bowling, junior bowling here, and he actually worked for me for a few years as well and developed as a younger bowler.
I feel like this is right in the middle of your face here. So. Okay. How's that? That's better.
That's fine. And as he got older and stronger, he's gotten a lot firmer throwing the ball, and I think that's helped him in his development to get to where he is now.
And a great coach, too, right, Todd?
I'll take maybe just a little credit, but Brad had the talent right from an early age, and I got him as a 7th grader. He's 12 years old. He was about the same height as he is now, but just like a lot skinnier, like really, really skinny, which is a lot like my son.
You can say that about all of us, can't you?
Yeah, but it's funny because, as Brad got bigger and stronger, that helped his game, and we just worked on a lot of fundamental things, and He was your typical young kid at 12. Kind of a little bit wild at times. Would throw a big game and a bad game right after, and he just got more consistent. And he stayed down at the line and just got stronger and keeping his hand behind the ball, and it's all paid off for him. So,
is he one of the top guys here at Lucky Lanes?
I mean, he's one of the top area bowlers, without a doubt. He has been for a few years, and I think he takes a lot of pride in that. Knowing Brad as well as I do, he wants to continue to get better, and he works really hard at it. So,
spares in the first 2 frames for Brad Bixby as he moves on to frame number 3. And while that is a good, solid start, he's already behind the 8 ball because Tyler has already struck out through the first 2 frames. And there we go. There's the first strike for Brad.
Well, if there's anything we learned from watching bowling, and that's that you have to just keep making good shots because you never know what's going to happen.
And that has happened already. So good shots by both guys. So now Tyler moves to the 3rd frame here. Cheektowaga, New York, as we mentioned, former bowler at Canisius College, helped start the program at Canisius College. And one of the true up-and-coming young bowling stars here in Western New York. And
he got that in. He got that left of his target.
Yep. So he
right of his target.
The picket fence on the left-hand side.
Seems to me like he can get away with that shot on 7, but he can't get away with it on 8.
Yeah, it seems like the 2 lanes play differently for him. I think he's still using the 2 different balls as well. I think he just, on that particular shot, he made a bad shot. So, good break on the spare.
Good spare pickup for Tyler Molina.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
We have a great crowd here today at Lucky Lanes in Fredonia, and we have our winner for our auction. This lucky person gets 3 games of bowling, a pitcher of pop, and a pizza for their family.
Thought he liked that one. He didn't like the fact that the 7-pin wouldn't go down.
I think he really wanted that one because that would have really been a crusher for Brad if he'd have carried that one. That would have put him in big command. Yeah. So I think he was really working that one hard.
So he'll have to try to finish off the spare here in the 8th frame, and that still leaves an opportunity for Brad. And it is a successful spare in the 8th frame for Tyler Molina.
Well, he's put Brad in a situation where he really has to strike out, because if he doesn't throw him out, we'll at least get good count in the 10th. All he has to do is kind of spare out.
Well, this is a key shot because he's going to finish on this lane as well. He really needs to find something that'll work right now if he's going to have a chance.
Well, thankfully he got that late pin to fall to avoid having a split, but not exactly the result that Brad Bixby was looking for here in the 8th frame.
So in that case, it looked like he moved his feet in and tried to use the dry a little bit, and the dry is really too dry. So he's fishing around. He's trying.
Yeah, it got him a little bit early on that shot. He was just trying to get it to the break point to carry, but not get it there too soon. And I think he just got it there a little soon.
And Sue, you and I talk a lot about it's always a disadvantage for the last qualifier because he's bowling on the lanes that everybody has bowled on all day long. Now, obviously, his opponent has to deal with that as well too. But his opponent at least has had a one-match chance to figure things out, because remember, as we tape all these matches in one day, we're getting towards the end of the run of the effectiveness of the oil here.
It's definitely tough.
Unless you bought the super long lasting stuff.
That's coming out next month.
Next month? I'm sure it is. Yeah, a little frustration you could see in the body language there from Brad Bixby. Just hasn't been able to get on a roll here, and knowing the level of his competition, that is going to wind up costing him.
And again, for Tyler being left-handed, they're not changing as much for him. So once he finds it, he's probably got to make fewer adjustments. So as long as he keeps making good shots, the other bowlers coming in have to beat him, and that can be tough.
If he was to get another left-hander with him on the match,
it would change it immensely.
Yeah, it would change a little quicker on him.
We had a lot of lefties early.
We have had a lot of lefties.
Probably more overall in our stop here, but not so much lately, which I think is what you're saying,
which is benefiting him right now.
We do have one left-hander on the high school show for next week.
Look of focus and determination on the face of Tyler Molina as he inches ever closer towards a 6th consecutive victory. There's the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Spare in the 9th for Tyler Molina. So once again, should he hang on to win this match, he will move himself to the upper echelons of the Beat the Champ record book at the moment.
Yeah, he just needs to keep it on the lane.
Yep, just keep it on the lane on his way to a 6th consecutive victory. You know, just
he did.
Sue, please put into some perspective for us what it means in that the last 3 months, in 2 of the last 3 months, Tyler has had 6 match winning streaks.
Well, I think that it shows that he knows how to adjust. You know, he's young, he keeps his ball speed up, he doesn't seem to tire. And that's important too, because as the lanes break down, you don't want to get slow. And he just has a good head on his shoulders, it looks like.
Yeah, he doesn't beat himself. He doesn't have open frames. He makes his spares, and he keeps putting the ball in the pocket, and it makes the other bowlers have to beat him, which is tough.
Yeah, it is.
How many opens has he had?
You just got me to look. He has not had an open frame at all on today's show. He had 3 of them in last week's show. Matter of fact, 2 in a row in his 3rd match of last week's show. But so he's now bowled 6 matches and he's had 3 open frames.
And that's pretty good. He stays out of trouble, and the other bowlers have to work really hard to beat him.
224 is the final score here for Tyler Molina. A little bit above his average because he's been in that 215 range pretty consistently, so a little bit better score there, and it's going to be enough to beat Brad Bixby. But like you said, and Todd, you said it perfectly, he does not beat himself at all, and thus that puts a different level of pressure on the guys that he's bowling against.
Yeah, especially coming in new, as they're just coming in to bowl him each time. So.
Well, it's been a great bowling display, just like we saw him the last time, and he didn't disappoint. So it's been a great match today.
It's a 224 to 184 win for Tyler Molina, his 6th consecutive victory as he swept the last 2 shows. He's now won 12 overall. It's an amazing run for Tyler Molina. We will talk to Tyler. We'll talk to Brad. When we come back, we thank Todd and we thank Paul for joining us. Paul, particularly for being a wonderful host here at Fredonia. We got 1 more week to come. That'll be our Junior Bowlers show. We'll talk about that in a moment. But a historical wrap-up here to another fun week of bowling. Sue and I are back in a moment right here on Beat the Champ. Second straight week, Tyler Molina gets that coveted spot hanging out on the end there next to Sue. We'll talk to Tyler about his record-tying victory in a moment. For you, Brad, you ran into about the hottest guy in Western New York right now.
Yeah, that and 10 pins, not much you can do against them either.
Yeah, and you had the home lane advantage coming in, but that only gets you so far, doesn't it?
Absolutely. 10 pins kill you, can't strike. Can't score, so.
Right, well, it was a good show, and you're kind of the regular on our trips down here to Fredonia, so, and I know you're a regular hanging out with this guy as well, too.
Well, congratulations. No, it wasn't the exact result we wanted, but a little cash will help that out a little bit.
You.
Thanks for rolling.
All right, Brad Bixby with a good performance here, but right now, Tyler Molina is the hottest guy in town.
Well, Tyler, once you make these shows, you're very difficult to beat. What's your mindset going into these matches?
Mindset's just, throw one good shot at a time, and make your spares, fill your frames, because that's been huge. A few splits have been costly, as we saw in the past few weeks. So, as you can see, the lane conditions were a little difficult. Left lane was a little touchy, but spare it up and force your opponent to make those strikes too.
Do you have the mentality of not watching your opponent and just worrying about your own game?
Oh, I'm counting exactly what I need when I'm back there, but once I get on the approach, it's like, okay, stay down, stay fluid with your shot, come out of the ball clean. So while you're back there, and leave it back there and come to the lane and clean slate.
All the signs of a really good mental game. Well, you're going to be tough to beat. I hope you keep on going.
Thank you.
So in the last 3 months, Tyler has had a pair of 6-match winning streaks. He has tied the overall Beat the Champ record with 12 victories, and guess what? He's coming back in 2 weeks to Manor Lanes 2 to try to break all of those records. Sue and I will get you ready for that, and next week's special junior bowling show when we return to Lucky Lanes in Fredonia. You're watching Beat the Champ. Sue, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the kind of success that Tyler Molina has had. As good as the bowlers are in Western New York and as good as the competition has been on the show, he is doing things in the last 3 months that no one else has come close to doing.
Well, I think the perfect way to describe that is mental game, because everybody has a really strong physical game. They know how to bowl, but to develop a mental game that's strong, that's very impressive.
So he'll try for a record 7th consecutive win when we return to competition in 2 weeks. Next week, our show will feature high school bowlers, but before we get to that, Janelle, you got a little bit of prize to give away here.
Yes, we did raffle away 3 games of bowling, a pitcher of pop, and a pizza, and this is Roger. Roger won our raffle, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, Roger, not a bad day all in all, huh?
So far, it's been great for me.
Yeah, well, it's been a good day for Roger. It's been a great day for Tyler. Remember, next week's show, high school bowling. 2 weeks from now, Tyler Molina comes back to keep that amazing streak on the line. For Janelle Sabin and Sue Navoyski and the whole gang here at WBBZ, we thank you for joining us for this week's edition of Beat the Champ.